how's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today I'm really excited because we're going to be taking a look at a brand new horror movie, and that is Weapons. This just came out August 8th, 2025. It was written and directed by Zach Cregger and stars Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, and Alden Ehrenreich. And overall, I was really excited for this. The director's last film was Barbarian, and that was a really good, really original horror movie. And also this movie came out around the same time as the movie Together, so two original horror movies with very interesting concepts coming out basically back to back. I feel like a lot of people say, hey, we want original IPs and we want fun, original, and different ideas in our movies. And while maybe not all the other subgenres are doing that, I really feel that horror is, and I'm really glad we're getting stuff like this. And plus, when we saw that first trailer, it gave us such a good hook, and we really wanted to know what the answer to that mystery was. And what's the setup for this movie? Don't worry, I won't be doing any major spoilers. This is definitely a movie you do not want spoiled for you. But basically the pitch with this movie is, one day in the middle of the night, 17 kids in this small town left their houses of their own accord and were never seen again. They have doorbell cameras, so they know that no one was kidnapping them. They all just happened to choose to leave on the same night, and no one knows why. The bizarre thing is that they all came from the exact same elementary school classroom, and out of that classroom, there are only two people left. Julia Garner, their teacher, who is of course going to get public scrutiny, and one kid, an outlier, who for whatever reason didn't leave with his peers. And boy, doesn't that set up such a big mystery. Don't we want to know what happened to these kids? The story's told in a series of 6 chapters, each one focusing on a different character. So for example, the first chapter will be Julia Garner's character, the teacher, and she's dealing with pressure from the town even though she says she has no idea what's going on. Then we jump to the second chapter, and that will be Josh Brolin's character, who's the father of one of the missing kids, and he's super motivated to solve this mystery and get his kid back. And as we go through the other characters, we'll get clues bit by bit about what's going on here. But it's not so much like a detective novel where the characters are finding clues. It's more like a narrative mystery where every so often the scenes will give us a piece of the puzzle, and slowly we'll be able to figure out what's going on. There's a major clue at the end of Julia Gardner's story, and we kind of get the direction we're going in from that. But we don't know exactly what it is until we get bigger and bigger pieces and the story's true nature is eventually revealed. And I really do like how, even though this is Zach Cregger's second movie, he already has a really strong style that's starting to emerge. A mystery where something really strange and bizarre has happened, but we learn about it slowly through characters that don't know what the mystery is, but also going in with a good bit of humor. The story's not a straight-up comedy, the characters aren't telling jokes, and it's not like it's trying to be funny, but there is a strong connection between horror and comedy, both of which often involving big, over-the-top, outrageous situations, and this is just a movie that goes, hey, this situation is big, extreme, and bizarre, but we're not gonna turn away from that. We're going to lean into that, and if it's a little funny, so what? We're gonna have some fun. So it does walk that line really well. We get lots of creepy imagery, some really good creepy reveals and shots, and also one thing I like is it's dealing with a suburban neighborhood, and we get some good atmosphere in here, like the vacant areas between the houses and the backyard, and the world looks really real and lived in, and when it gets dark, it feels so naturally creepy, and I really do like that. I won't talk about what the evil is or what the reveal is, but I do want to say that it's something very imaginative and very original, in that once you know what it is, it's not just random nonsense, it has its own sense of rules and inner working, that as you're puzzling the mystery out, you also get to see how the evil works, and it has its own sense of a unique system for this movie, which I really do like as well. You can also dig in a little deeper with the meanings of the movie. We get to know clues as to what the evil is, but it's never 100% spelled out, so there is room to debate it. You can debate character motivations, and you can also debate what the title of the movie Weapons actually is. There's a lot of room to dig down and think about this, so it does have serious creepy horror and deeper meaning, but it also does have an over-the-top side. And again, I won't spoil anything, but the ending of this movie goes so big and so extreme, it is easily one of my favorite horror movie endings in quite a long time. But I think that is a thing, and there are some people that weren't a huge fan of this movie, and I think the reason is when you go in with that concept and you say, oh, it's missing kids, it really does feel like it should be a grim and serious true crime story, and that is part of what's here, but this is also a Zach Cregger movie, and I feel like some people expecting a gloomy, dark movie might not appreciate those other bits. I feel it's a very similar situation to when people went in to see Osgood Perkins' The Monkey after having just seen Longlegs, and they were like, what? This is a comedy? And again, this isn't a pure comedy, but I think you do need to know going into it that it is dark and creepy and spooky, but it does also have an over-the-top side to it, and as long as that's not going to throw you off, you are going to enjoy the movie. Now, as far as flaws that I did have with the movie, there are two big things. One is an inherent flaw with the story structure. The shifting perspectives is fun, and seeing how one piece told in one story can reveal something going on with the other, it really is an interesting story structure. The original Japanese Grudge movies would also do this. However, two flaws I have with this storytelling structure is one, it does keep you at a distance from who your main character should be. Julia Garner is a great actress and she plays a really good character in this movie, but her story is the first chapter, and after we go through her story, we do see her pop up in subsequent chapters. But moving away from her perspective after the end of chapter 1, I feel like was a bit of a mistake because having a solid main character really does keep you grounded, and I really wish that Julia Garner's character was a bit of an exception where she got 2 or 3 chapters. That probably would have helped the movie out. And the second thing with the structure is going from one character to the next, sometimes you do lose a bit of that momentum, and when you get a character and it's unclear as to what role they play in the larger plot, sometimes you have to ask, why are we hanging out with this guy? I want to get back to solving the mystery. And I think one of the big culprits of that is this cop character, who honestly doesn't add too terribly much to the story, and his chapter interrupts a major section of momentum, and honestly a lot of the stuff that happens in his story you could have figured out through other characters. Like there's this criminal character that comes right after him, and I feel like you could have pushed a lot of his story into there and probably just cut him. But whatever, it's still fine. I just wish we hung out with Julia Garner a little bit more. The second flaw I have with this movie is once you know what's been going on here, there are a few scenes where you kind of wonder how it wasn't revealed earlier. For example, it's been about a month since all this happened, and Josh Brolin's character gets an idea, and it's a really good idea and really does help point them in the right direction, but it's something that I feel like the police should have really thought to do a lot earlier, because honestly, this was one of my first ideas as to how to solve this mystery, and it's kind of unbelievable that no one thought to do this, and there are a few moments where things do seem a little bit convenient for the evil force, and I wish they had just ironed this out a little bit more. A few little tweaks and it would have been more rock solid. You know, say the evil could get away with this because the evil could do that. Just iron it a little bit more and it would have been a lot better. But all that being said, I don't want to detract from this movie too much. As I said, I really do like it, and again, in particular, that ending is one of my favorite horror movie endings in a while. This movie was really really over the top and really fun. And I feel like as long as you know that this isn't going to all be doom and gloom and you go in with the right headspace, this is going to be a fun one. I've tried to be relatively spoiler free in this review, but I do want to say you should probably get to the theater before some jerk posts a YouTube thumbnail with a big spoiler in it. It's worth going to check out, and you really should watch it before someone ruins it. So yeah, this one was fun. I definitely recommend it, and it will definitely be in my top 10 for this year. I really am glad we've had so many good horror movies. But anyway, all that being said, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom if you guys want to see me talk about more horror movies that came out this year. Things like Sinners or Bring Her Back. Feel free to click right there and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Playlist here. Have a good day now.